Exam is 43 multiple choice questions. And 27 marks of short answer for a total of 7-0. Yes and no. I just made the exam, assigned the questions, certain marks, and then I was like, that works. So. No, I'm going to go through them. There are more than 5. Okay. Let's talk about the multiple choice. So, the first section will be reaction rates. There are 8 questions. If it's the same setup as if you do practice provincials, it's going to go in basically the same order, okay? Which is essentially the order that we went in class. So 8 questions. So what should you know? I've already reviewed the whole unit, but just a quick little thing. Obviously, rates, how to increase or decrease the rates. A little bit on collision theory. Endo, exo, etc. Catalysts, activation energy, EA. Yeah, like the kind of, sorry? Threshold. No, I don't have any specific questions on threshold energy, but you should know how to figure out activation energy. All right, then we did, and what is on the test? Equilibrium. Nine questions. So you should know what entropy and enthalpy are and what they do to reactions, or which way they'll push it. Obviously, KEQs, shifts left and right. Now, I say ice tables. If it's in the multiple choice section, it's an ice table that is meant to be done very quickly, because obviously the more in-depth ones I would put in the short answer questions. Okay. What's the only thing that changes your KEQ? Okay. After equilibrium, we did solubility. There's only 4 questions on solubility. So obviously, KSP versus solubility, what is the difference? Yeah, so the amount dissolved is solubility. Essentially, it's in units of like grams per liter, moles per liter, things like that. KSP is concentration of the products multiplied together. You should know how to figure out if a precipitate forms, which is basically a grade 11 question. Know how to do KSP expressions. And then acids and bases. There are 14 questions on acids and bases. 14? There's 2 parts to acids and bases, so really it's the same as the other ones. This is part 1 and part 2 just mixed together. All right. What's the quick way to identify a base? What is the smart way to identify a base? It's slippery. What is this? What? Thank you. No. So bases accept protons. Not all, but a lot do have OH in them. Okay. Not all, but a lot do. Their pH is greater than 7. Litmus paper would go blue. If that's important. I don't know. You want that to be? First question. What color does litmus paper go in a base? What color does it go? Go. Turn to. What's an acid? Sour. Non-taste, smell, or feel properties. Donates a proton. It burns. Oh, and the one that we just learned in last class, well, I just was reminded in last class, reacts with metal. What bases did that? No. Bases react with metal. Acids. I could have sworn it was a base question. Yeah, how does that reaction work? No, because I was the one who asked the question. No. Okay. All right. Conjugate acid. Oh, yeah. Do conjugate acid base pairs. This is sort of the review of acids and bases right now. So if we have HPO4 minus, so if we have that reaction, HPO4 2 minus plus water gives us H2O plus and PO4 3 minus. What is acting as the acid in the reactants? Which of the following are general properties of bases in aqueous solution? Bases feel slippery. An increase H2O plus. No, hang on. Turn the super red. Conduct electricity and turns it. Maybe. But. What is the answer? I haven't looked yet. I'm gonna say it's probably C. So it's not D because that's acids. Yeah. They do feel slippery. Yes. But they don't react with. Well, now I gotta get that out of my brain. Is this the one I gave you? Yeah. No. Yes. That's the one that you gave us. Whatever. We'll check it. Just make a note of it and then we'll look at it, okay? What's the acid in the products? People's HPO4 acid. That's the acid, and its conjugate base is right there. Okay. So know how to identify conjugate acid base pairs. What does pH equal? negative log the H3O plus concentration, or you could say H plus, the proton concentration. POH would be negative log of OH minus. What does pH and POH equal if you add them together?
Water.
Equals 14, but I know what you're saying.
Are you going to write these formulae on the board?
Yeah, I can put them on the board, or give them to you. So you have to know they add to 14, which is the pKw of water. KW is what? Is 1 times 10 to the negative 14, and it is equal to Ka times Kb. I will ask you.
Isn't also like concentration of H2O plus times the concentration of OH minus something?
Yeah, it would be Kw. I will ask you some questions on indicators. I'll go over that stuff when we do the review of acids bases. And I'll ask you some buffer stuff. But I'll go over that stuff in a sec here. So that's sort of your acids and bases is sort of the main, I don't want to say the main chunk, but it's the biggest part because it's 2 units that we slam together. Okay? All right, and then the last part is redox for the multiple choice. There are, I took a couple off. I want to say 1, 2. I guess there's 7-ish questions on redox. 7-ish. I can't remember exactly. We could probably do the math, but I don't want to do the math. So oxidation numbers, know how to do that. Know how to label and use or figure out the electrochemical cells. Is it spontaneous or not? Know how to find the E naught of a cell. And oxidizing and reducing agents. Like I said, if you look through the old provincials, you'll see the types of questions I'm going to ask. Okay, that's multiple choice. The written is 7 questions. You have a reaction rate question. You're going to have one basically for each unit.
Is that going to be like a graph?
I don't know.
You told us on the mid.
So reaction rates, 3 marks. You'll have an equilibrium question. What type of question I'm going to ask you on the equilibrium?
KEU.
Yeah, what are you going to have to do for it, most likely? It's going to be some sort of ice table. So if you look through the equilibrium stuff and you look at the longer questions, you'll see there's like 2 or 3 that I could possibly ask you. Then we get solubility. There's basically 3 types. There's common ion, 4 marks. KSP, or how much was dissolved. We did a KSP one on Friday-ish. That's 4 marks. Acid base, because it's 2 parts, There's 2 questions. Okay, 4 marks each. Uh, 4 marks. Really, it's most likely going to be some sort of calculated pH using an ice table thing. But if you look through acids and bases, you'll see the types that I'm going to ask. Okay. And then redox. Oh, that's acid base. That's 4 and 5, I guess. And then redox, there is 2 questions. One is balancing. I think that's 3. I can't remember if it's 3 or 4 marks. It doesn't matter. All right. Just balancing a reaction. Sorry? And then you'll have a cell question. Labeling a cell, just like we did. 7. So if you look at provincial exams, we didn't do electrolytic yet. So anything that says electrolytic or has a battery attached to it, you can exclude that because we haven't looked at those yet. So any cells that are just like, what's the E naught of the cell? What's the anode? What's the cathode? As long as it's not hooked up to a battery, you should be able to answer. Okay. Know how to balance redox. You know it's probably going to be in base because you have to do an extra step. That's it. I'm not trying to trick you on the short answer. Well, in this whole thing, it's basically, do you know the highlights of each section? Right? That's it. Are there any questions?